Hey there, brilliant air signs, and welcome to the first part of June reading. Let's dive straight in. Okay. Starting off with some air cards, the swords, which can mean some clarity has been gained. I'm just going to pull 3 oracle cards as a grounding up the top. Any cards I use can be found in the description below. These are the Sacred Forest oracle cards, actually quite beautiful. They've got that lovely smell. Enlightenment. Air Spirit, very fitting. And Bee Spirit, Prosperity. Okay, so to start off with, we've got the Queen of Swords. You can see in this card that she's sitting above the clouds, so that symbolizes clarity gained and rising above confusion or doubt. And she's facing forward, so she's cleared up the past. So this sits in the area of your past as well. It seems like you've been doing a lot of work on letting go of the past and dropping some weight and some baggage that was obstructing your sight and your vision moving forward. So the oracle card for the past is enlightenment as well. So it seems like new grounds have been made on sharpening your perception about what is real and what is not real. And I feel like I'm getting a sense that there's actually a really amazing level of self-love that you've taken upon yourself to gain this. And that makes sense, because if you only want to kind of reach more enlightenment or gain that forward clarity if you valued yourself. So well done. Next we've got the Seven of Swords. This card's usually typically around like being quite sneaky and that kind of thing, but it's also a card of strategy. So I think that you've had to be quite cunning to work around these difficult waves that you've gone through and to find new innovative methods of moving past them. So I feel like this card, there was a lot of mental fatigue, and when our mind is tired, it's the hardest bloody thing. It's our own worst enemy. It weighs us down, it confuses us, it gets us in loops. So I feel like you've found some ways to transcend that. And that's the whole purpose of difficult times, other than it just being a part of life, is the human capacity to learn from that and to adapt. So I feel like this card's, it's telling me there's a lot of adaptation and evolution that's taken place for you to move on your journey towards more enlightenment. Enlightenment, it sounds quite lofty, but basically it's shedding light on things, so subconscious things become more conscious. Moving on, we've got the King of Cups. So very, very grounded energy in terms of being in touch with your feelings, and that's maybe where the new strategy was that you learned that you couldn't avoid your feelings. This card typically is a wonderful counselor. He's there for others, but his Achilles heel is that he often doesn't take care of his own needs and can be so focused on helping others or focused on the outside world that his own inner feelings aren't felt, processed, honoured, integrated. So coming off this clarity and this new method or adaptation that you've found, I think a big part of that is that you've had to really sit with your feelings and feel them without the story, without the why is this happening, without the analysis. because the mind jumps to that to help us when we're feeling vulnerable. But it really, as I think you've learned, the story is the thing that keeps us stuck. Next we've got Air Spirit. This middle row is where you're at now. And Air Spirit is all about knowledge. So, sort of like the Queen of Swords, there's an element of transcendence here, rising above. As you can see, the boat with the woman inside is above the forest. So there's an element of new knowledge gained, and this elevating you. The Page of Cups, coming off the King of Cups, this is all about developing a new relationship with yourself. So it's a card of self-love and allowing yourself to be more narcissistic. The Greek mythology of this character is Narcissus, who got obsessed with his image in the water and fell into it. So I'm getting a sense that it's been good for you to be a little bit more narcissistic, and what I mean by that is to give yourself the love and tenderness that you give other people. That's okay, it fills your cup up so you can fill other people's cup up. So keep going along that line. Even though you've gained more insight, there's still some worry here or anxiety about where your life's going, what's next. You know, that comes and goes, hey? Like sometimes we feel more on track. But being in the middle of this whole spread, this card's important. And it's showing that you might be a little bit too fixated on how the material world is going to work, or how something's going to work on a material physical level. And when the mind locks in like that, things can look a bit bleak. You know, these people are out in the cold, and there's a warm window there, and it's like a sense of like, I don't deserve that, or that's not going to be able to happen for me. So just be aware of that energy of looking at things almost too crudely. Trust that there's a greater plan for you, and that you will, like many previous times before, no doubt, find a way. Things will click into gear that you never thought would click into gear. Doors will open that you never thought doors would be there in the first place. So don't give in to the worry and the doubt. And I think being as open-minded as air signs tend to be, that's the double-edged sword of having an open mind, is you can look into things and create more doubt. So rein that in, okay? And come back to the relationship you have with yourself and that sense of trust moving forward. And you have gained a lot of knowledge and strategy and new methods, so you will continue to learn and be able to get through this. Underneath that, another sword. So the Two of Swords, this card tends to be, so she's blindfolded and she's looking quite peaceful there, but there is almost like a holding defense or a blocking of emotion. So don't block your emotions here. Feel them, name them, sit with them, honor them. Even if it's stress and worry, like that came up before with that middle card, there's a sense of anxiety there. The anxiety is not the enemy. The anxiety is there as an alarm signal that you might have got caught up in your head too much, and it's trying to reground you and pull you back down. So this card, it's a Libran card, so it can be about sitting in a false sense of peace. So she's got the mountains behind her with the water, and she's afraid of that new land. So sitting there kind of going, I'm okay. And really, maybe where you're at isn't that great in terms of where you want to be. And so if you rip the blindfold off and you look actually where you're heading, the water isn't as high as it seems. So this is a card about perception. So make sure you use these lessons that you've learnt before about perception and how it can dramatically change whether something feels doable or not, or like totally overwhelming, or more like, oh, it's actually just a challenge and I'll make it. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Next we've got the row that's just the future. So you've got bee spirit here, which is prosperity, abundance. You can feel that with this card, with the orange and the light and the warmth. And coming off that, you've got the hangman. So there will need to be a little bit more time to sit and hang and be suspended, and it can be uncomfortable. What makes this beautiful card less distressing is surrender and trust. So you're going to need those things while you're sitting in this limbo space. The prosperity is there, it's coming, but it's going to come quicker if you're at a state of ease and in a state of surrender and trust. Makes sense, yeah? Like if you're kind of calm and soft, then you will see things clearer, the anxiety and the worry won't take over as much, and when the opportunities arise, you will be like a cat. You will just strike, rather than being riddled and exhausted and that kind of thing. It's a wonderful card. It's very spiritual. It's a card of transcendence and letting go and trusting. It's hard to let go without the trust, so you kind of need to remind yourself of what you've come through before and what wonderful things you've learned and people that have supported you, and that's going to happen again. Coming off that, this card here it's a bit dull. So while you're in that hanging man energy, it will feel boring. The withdrawal can feel suffocating, but try and use it as a practice, self-discipline for that surrender, for that trust, and really focus on what you've got right in front of you. So it's easy with this card to fall into a state of ungratefulness, losing sight of what's right in front of you that previously you were excited about. But now that you've had it for a while in your life, it can get a bit like, yeah, whatever. So it's a tricky space. Been in that many times myself, and it can feel empty, and you can kind of numb out on different addictions and that sort of thing. So try and see it as a spiritual test or a challenge, and hold your ground and appreciate what's in front of you. As naff as it sounds, sometimes just naming 3 things that you really that really matter to you can just switch the chemicals in your brain. Yeah. And then coming off that, finally, there is this 3 of Wands energy, which is about forward motion, really feeling like things are lining up and there's a voyage or an adventure, or yes, this thing's coming, this thing's there, I can feel the energy and I'm ready. So for you, coming out of that more introverted space, that's a really lovely card to see at the end. I'm really happy that that's there for you. You just got to kind of hang in there, okay? Literally let yourself hang, accept the hanging, and accept that limbo that you're in, and that's where you're meant to be right now. You probably are preparing in terms of energy and chi. You probably are resting on some level, even though there's the worry. Try and see it as like a regrouping, resting, rejuvenation time while you've got it. Because once this starts moving, things will get cracking again. I'm just going to pull some clarity cards just to enhance and ground the reading using the Thoth deck. I love it. Okay, so with this Queen of Swords energy, the page, so you've got the Moon. It's a very small card, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is a card of going into the underworld. So this shows that perception that you've gained, even though it might flicker on and off, it's there, and you've worked hard for that. You've gone through some pretty dark spaces to get that. So this is a card of moving through doubt, confusion, and finding that clarity and that connection to yourself, to your own feelings. From the 7 to the 5. So yeah, these new methods that you've learned, or ways to adapt, or ways to manage what was in your past, the Ace of Swords here shows that there's a really brilliant shift in your understanding that's come through, and you need to apply that to this Five of Pentacles energy that you're in now. So really have a bit of a review of maybe the last hurdles you went through, and let that bolster you. Let that fill you up with some courage and pride and a sense of achievement. Don't let that slide away, because you need that now so you don't get caught into that anxiety or worry or distrust of the future. Next clarity card. So in terms of moving into the Two of Swords energy, which was under the 5, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. So this shows a karmic shift. So getting in touch with your feelings and not letting yourself settle for a false sense of peace is going to be the thing that bolsters you into this level of prosperity that's in the final row. So count your fortunes as well. It's kind of echoing that Four of Cups card. Let what you have right in front of you, that you'd be gutted if it was taken away from you, let that sort of sit in your energy. That will create more abundance and a positive shift, and then you'll likely attract more abundance as well. So it's hard to do when you're in that doubt, I know, but give it a crack. And then with the Hanging Man, Two of Swords again. So don't let yourself feel like this is it, okay? This is not it. You've got a lot more beautiful things coming up ahead of you, and it's hard to see that when you're in that suspension. So I get it, but yeah, just remember you've been through this before many times. We've just got terrible memories, don't we? Awesome. So coming in between the 5 Pentacles, which is that sort of central card around worry, and the 4, which is that that boredom, you've got the 9 of Cups, which is a wish card. So this card is asking you, while you're in this energy, not only feel grateful for what you've already got to kind of transform your energy a bit more, but let yourself wish. And the way to practice manifestation is you need to start feeling what it is that you want in your life to come in. For example, if you want more love, you need to find ways to generate more love in yourself, and that's going to be like a magnet. What that looks like is maybe even patting a dog that you see, or being a little bit more open-hearted and warm when you go out in public, and not kind of as withdrawn. Anything that kind of stimulates that same quality of feeling that you want to feel when you get that thing that you want. So another example for that is if you want to feel more security, really try and generate that energy in yourself now. And maybe that is taking stock of what you've got in your life that other people would kill for, you know? And it's just that perspective shift. Awesome card. It's a big opportunity to absorb and sit in that feeling. So finally, with this 3 of Wands, you've got the 10 of Discs, which is all about fulfillment, legacy, and it's the opposite of that 5 of Pentacles that you've got in there in the middle. It's the 10, it's like the end of the journey. So you are going to build that kingdom, and that wonderful kingdom with all of the things in it that you really deep down desire. So let that infuse you. What is it that you want to feel when you're in your kingdom? Really try and start to generate that feeling now. So yeah, it's a good one to end on. It's prosperity. So yeah, you've got it there. It's a bit of a process to get there, but you will find that new chapter that you're looking for. So yeah, thank you, air signs. If you've got another strong element in your chart, so any of the other elements, earth, fire or water, go check out that video as well. Might be able to pull some gold from that too. Thanks for joining me. Take care.